We don't have those leaders today. That's essentially if you ask me why there's no chance right now of a conflict ending agreement between Israelis and Palestinians, so an Israeli prime minister could stand before the Knesset and say to his people, to the world, and to the Palestinians, we're done. No more claims to be adjudicated, no more irredemption pursued. The conflict is over. And a Palestinian leader to stand before the Palestinian Legislative Council and say the same thing, that is what you need. And that, frankly, sadly, tragically, is what we do not have.
Discuss the potential of the Palestinian leader by the name of Marwan Barghouti, who is imprisoned in Israel, who's been there for 20 years or so. More than 200 cultural leaders have signed an open letter, and these include writers like Margaret Atwood and Zadie Smith and Richard Branson, of all people, Mark Ruffalo and Sting. They signed an open letter calling for the release of him, saying that he is capable of uniting disparate Palestinian factions. What is your assessment of him?
I mean, look, if I had to identify a Palestinian leader that on paper had the potential to emerge with the legitimacy and the authority and the jail time, let's be very clear here. Legitimacy in Palestinian politics, and there's an analog on the Israeli side as well. It's no coincidence that Israelis prize and put a premium on leaders who had military experience. It's true on the Palestinian side as well. Abu Mazen was not a military man. Arafat claimed to be. And going to prison, not to Harvard or the World Bank, is really a pathway to legitimacy. Barghouti also he served time. He knows the Israelis, speaks fluent Hebrew. He also has deep ties to the broad spectrum of Palestinian politics, including relations with Hamas as well. Serving 5 lifetime sentences, accused of killing 5 individuals. The question is, if you let Barghouti out of jail today and you put him in, you swapped Abu Mazen for Barghouti, I think that Barghouti's shine, legitimacy, his authority would wane very, very, very quickly, because he would preside over a feckless, weak Palestinian authority. He would have to confront not just Hamas as a critical challenge, and Hamas has survived, hollowed out as a military organization, but it survived the last several years, and it still remains the most preeminent political actor in Gaza today. And then Barghouti would have to confront the realities that you have an Israeli government pursuing policies on the West Bank that are annexationists in everything, in fact, almost in name as well.
Hi, I'm Pat Morrison, one of the hosts of America at a Crossroads. If you like this video, don't just watch. Head over to our website where you can subscribe for early access to new programs, see our upcoming schedules, and connect directly with our guests in our weekly live streams. Thank you for watching.
So Barghouti's authority, if released today without an equivalent or suitable Israeli partner to work with him, I think Barghouti's credibility would diminish very quickly.
What if the United States pushed for it? What if Trump pushed for it? Would that
I mean, it would have to be part of a peace. And let's be clear, we can talk all day long about Israeli transgressions in this conflict: settlement activity, land confiscation, closings, targeted killings. You could take a look at everything that's happened since October 7th. The one transgression on the Palestinian side is the absence of a monopoly over the forces of violence within Palestinian society. Arafat had it, but at times he used violence when it suited his interests and controlled it when it suited his interest. That's the real problem, if you asked me, on the Palestinian side, is the absence of a monopoly over the forces of violence. The fact is that Israel needs a partner, and the Israelis have to step up as well. This is not one hand clapping. And just for the record here, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not a morality play that confronts or pits the forces of goodness on one hand against the forces of darkness on the other. It's Goethe's definition of a tragedy. It is competing justice. Each side has mutual needs and requirements that need to be met. On the Palestinian side, a monopoly over the forces of violence within Palestinian society, that is to say, controlling all of the guns of Palestine, needs to be in the hand of an individual or a group of individuals committed to negotiating an outcome. And don't have that in the wake of October 7 and the trauma that the Israelis have inflicted and the trauma that Palestinians, Hamas has inflicted on Israel, on Israelis, which is going to last for a very long time. What you need, again, I come back to Rabin again. I come back to Rabin because, in a way, he represented, to me and to many, the kind of leader that Israel required. And we don't have those leaders today. That's essentially if you ask me why there's no chance right now of a conflict-ending agreement between Israelis and Palestinians, choosing my words very carefully here, conflict-ending agreement on the 5 core issues: border security, refugees, Jerusalem, end of all conflict and claims. So an Israeli prime minister could stand before the Knesset and say to his people, to the world, and to the Palestinians, we're done. No more claims to be adjudicated, no more irredemption pursued. The conflict is over. And a Palestinian leader to stand before the Palestinian Legislative Council and say the same thing, that is what you need. And that, frankly, sadly, tragically, is what we do not have.
Next week, December 10th at 5 p.m. Pacific, we will welcome the Dean of UC Berkeley School of Law, Erwin Chemerinsky, who will be in conversation with Warren Olney on the topic, The Constitution in Crisis, What's at Stake for American Democracy. And as you probably all know, Erwin Chemerinsky is one of the great constitutional law scholars in the country, so you're going to be sure to tune in and be with us.